Hey, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while. Sorry about that. What do I even look like? I didn't even look. I thought today we would make some chocolate chip cookies, and what better chocolate chip cookies than just the Nestle Toll House on the back of the bag. There's a lot of fancy recipes out there on the internet, but in my 40 plus years of eating chocolate chip cookies, these have always been the best. So, and they're really easy. This is just the prep part because you're gonna want your dough to chill in the refrigerator for a while before you bake them. So I'm actually on my lunch break and I thought I'll just mix all this up together. We'll get started on that, and then it can chill for the afternoon. I can bake them tonight. Let's introduce you to the people. Look at her. Say hello to the world. Say hello to the world. Why are you wet? Yuck. I love you. Okay. I'm gonna wash my hands since I just picked her up, and then we'll get started. Okay, I'm going to half the recipe on the back of the bag because I don't need that many cookies. I'm actually gonna make like small cookies and not the giant ones that would be the normal. So anyway, let's look at our recipe book. 2 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour, which means we're gonna do 1 1/8 cup of all-purpose flour. And here is the trick that I use. It usually says, actually the instructions say, in a small bowl, combine flour, baking soda, and salt. I put down a piece of wax paper and I put my little sifter on top of the wax paper, and that is where I mix my dry ingredients, because the one less bowl that I have to wash, and it makes it like really easy to put into the wet ingredients. So you'll see what I mean. Okay, 1 1/8, it's a weird size, flour, and it calls for a teaspoon of baking soda, so I'm doing half a teaspoon. It also calls for salt. I'm using salted butter, so I'm going to eliminate the teaspoon of salt. And then I just sift the dry ingredients onto this wax paper. And I use something to smush all of the lumps down. Okay. And then that's that for the dry ingredients. Okay, now for the wet ingredients. You're gonna put what calls for 2 sticks of butter, 1 stick of cheap old Kroger brand butter, and it calls for 3/4 of a cup of granulated sugar, but I'm doing half, so that's gonna be 6 tablespoons of granulated sugar. And 6 tablespoons of packed brown sugar. Calls for 3/4 of a cup. Again, I'm doing half. I think this is dark brown. You can use whatever you want to. It's just what I have. Oh, it's kind of puny. 4, 5, and 6. Okay. Then the next thing is a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now, one thing that I do different is I double the amount of vanilla in this recipe. So normally it calls for a teaspoon. I would use 2 teaspoons. This time I'm using 1 whole teaspoon of vanilla. Okay. Now we're going to mix all this together with our mixer. careful with the speed of that. If you're not careful, it'll go everywhere. It says to, in a large mixing bowl, beat butter, granulated sugar, brown sugar, and vanilla extract until creamy. We've got a long way to go. We've got an awfully long way to go. Oh my goodness. Like this is not coming together very well. It's like I'm forgetting something. I'm not. Just takes a minute. My arm be hurting though. Okay, it's starting to feel and look a bit creamier. Without it going everywhere. Okay, there's a lump of brown, dark, oh. It would not, okay. I thought it was hard. It's not. We're fine. It's that dark brown sugar. Oh, okay, it's starting to get kind of creamy now. My goodness. I usually use my stand mixer, but for the purposes of this video, I thought I'll use the hand mixer, and my arm is getting very tired. But it is getting creamier, which is good, obviously, because that's what's supposed to happen. I think we're good. Okay. We're creamy now. So now, oh, gotta get some butter I dropped off on the ground. Got it? Okay. Now we're gonna add our egg. Should be 2 eggs. We have 1. We add that and we mix again. And we're supposed to mix this. I guess just until it's incorporated. Maybe just until it's not wet. I'm saying maybe like I've never made this before. I promise I have. Alright, so now we're going to add our dry ingredients. Gradually, it says. If you're using a stand mixer, then you can just turn your little guy on, let it go low, and gradually add this in. So I'm just going to add like half of it. See how handy that is? Just shake it back in there. Add a little bit at a time here. Make sure you start your mixer low, otherwise you're going to get a cloud of flour. Ooh, mixed up really well. Okay. My cord is like, oh. That's a nice flavor. I'm not going to have all the... I'm just going to put the rest. I'm a rebel like that. Okay. We're going to mix the rest of this in. Oh, no. Did you see what happened? What if I don't tell it? Just don't tell. Just don't tell anybody. Gravity really did its thing right then. Alright, let's mix the rest of the flour in. Maybe when you do it, it'll be slightly less chaotic than this. Now that it's getting all incorporated, I'm going to turn it up a little until it's just a creamy, good and creamy. Alright, that's all we got. Spin the rest of that off of there. Y'all know I thought about doing that with my fingers, but I decided not to. Okay. Alright, so now I will eat the batter off of that later. Now we need to put our chocolate chips in. Now here's what I do. It calls for 2 cups. So I only need a cup. So I'm going to do half of a cup into this plastic bag. Half a cup into this plastic bag, and then I'm going to take a meat tenderizer or just some sort of hard object. Get the air out of it. And I'm going to crush these up into little bits. Very therapeutic. They don't all have to be crushed up, but they just make like a little bit. Okay, then put that in there. That noise was. And then we're going to put another half a cup of just regular sized morsels. And because it's Christmas, I'm going to put some little M&Ms, and I love the crunch of, oh dear, I love the crunch of an M&M in a chocolate chip cookie. And playing in my mouth. Okay. Gonna mix this up with our hand, or with our, by hand with our spatula until it makes the dough. Everything looks pretty good and incorporated. And the reason I crunched those chocolate chips up is because that makes more chocolate in every bite, and as opposed to having like places where there is no chocolate. Alright, so I'm just going to put plastic wrap over this, then stick it in the refrigerator while I go back to work. And then tonight, I'll come in, likely in a different outfit, and we're going to bake them, and we'll see what happens. So, excuse you. So we'll see you then. Okay, I'm back. Different clothes, slightly disheveled. I just got in from a run, so I'm not looking my best, but who does in the kitchen? Let's be honest. So now our dough has been chilled for almost 6 hours. It doesn't have to be in there that long. Couple hours, an hour maybe, is all that's really needed. I'm gonna use this size cookie scoop. I think it's 1 inch. And we're just gonna start scooping it. And like I said, I want them to be really small. My oven's preheated to 375, and I'm going to scoop all of these out. And I could be wrong, but I doubt anybody wants to watch me do this. So just pretend that you're watching me do this. Scoop, scoop, scoop. This is not for doggies. Doggies will die. I'm gonna be sick. I'm gonna be all this dough and be sick. Okay, we've scooped it all out. It made this many, minus the dough that I ate. And I'm gonna stick, okay. I'm gonna stick these in the oven for 5 minutes. The original recipe calls for like 8 to 11 minutes. But I'm gonna put them in there for 5 minutes and kind of watch them. And then we'll see. Since they're so small, I don't want to overdo it. So we're gonna see. And one of the things, like the reason we chill the dough is because I've heard and read in a lot of recipes to where you should chill the dough, because otherwise it just ends up being like a puddle, like a melted puddle once it cooks because of the butter. So I have found that chilling the dough helps the cookies to be a little bit more substantial, as opposed to just like a melted puddle with like chocolate chips coming out of it. So, okay, I'll be back when they're done. Okay, they're out. It took about 7 minutes, and they're nice and golden brown around the edges, but they're squishy on the inside. So once, this one's a lot squishy on the inside. That's the only one. I wonder why. Oh, but it was thicker. Anyways, I'm gonna let these cool on this sheet for 2 minutes. And then once they're done, I'm gonna put them on the cooling rack that's underneath this. And then we shall feast. So let's get these off of here. You do want to give them a minute to rest on it, on their cookie sheet, because otherwise you're just going to end up with like the cookie that's just falling apart. It's just going to fall apart on you. Well, that kind of stuck. Well, I'll be. These are so cute. These are real stuck together, like a snowman. But see how they kind of like stay together better than if the butter had been melted. My guess is that they all would have looked more like that, how flat that is. I don't know, I'm not a scientist, but people who are smarter than me have said to chill the dough, and I listen to those people who are smarter than me. I'm not afraid to take advice from somebody. I love these little ones. So cute. These are completely cooled. Ready for, I'm gonna eat that one because it's the ugliest one. Here we go. Look at all that chocolate. Can you hear it's kind of crunchy on the edges? So good. Nestle Toll House. Oh, son of a gun. You do it every time. So go buy you a bag of Nestle Toll House semi-sweet chocolates and make yourself a treat. I love chocolate chip cookies, you know. They're not that complicated, but they're just good every time. And that's what I have to say about that. If you happen to watch this video all the way through, thank you so much. I hope that I can get better at making these, and that if I make a little bit more money, I can get some better equipment, and we can just enjoy the kitchen together, because it's one of my favorite places to be. So again, thank you so much. Bon appetit, and happy holidays.